Good afternoon. This is Prescott Talk, and I am not Glenn Martin. This is Anita Cohen substituting for Glenn Martin, and we're going to be talking today to Tom Agostino of the Folk Sessions. So, Tom, you want to introduce yourself and speak a bit to
Sure.
what the Folk Sessions are?
First, thank you, Anita, for having me on this podcast. And I've been doing the Folk Sessions now. We just celebrate our 17th year of being on the air. I believe probably we're the oldest Prescott radio show at this point. You know, continually going for 17 years. And we've been broadcasting on, it started off as KJAZ, KJZA. And in the last few years, it's transitioned to Prescott Public Radio, which is part of a larger Arizona community radio network. Mm-hmm. And every Saturday, I do a half-an-hour show about folk music. And I tend to theme my shows. I like to, you know, early on, and you I think you'll enjoy this. When I did my first radio show, I got the show, and KJZA was affiliated with NPR, so it was a public radio show. And I don't know anything. I'm just outspoken boy from Brooklyn, you know. And so I did my first show, and it was so long ago. It was there was a demonstration against the Iraq War going on. That's how long ago this was, right? In the square. And so I did. I went on a rant. I went on a political rant on my show, and unbeknownst to me, the station manager had taken me off within a minute of my rant. Put on music, and I get this message: "Come see me in the morning." You know, so I show up in the morning, and he goes, "Nobody listens to a music show to hear you talk about politics. You know, your show is a folk music show." And so I got on my mighty horse and said, "But I have things." And he says, "Hold on." He goes, "If you have something to say, find a song that says it and play that song. If you have a point of view you want to get across, theme your show to that point of view and play your music. But they don't want to hear you." And so I've taken that to heart. And so I don't go on too many rants. You know, I've been doing it now 17 years, so I have a little bit of freedom to express myself. But generally, I've really taken that to heart. And I think that when people turn on to hear the Folk Sessions, they want to hear really high-end, high-quality Americana and folk music. Mm-hmm. And I have lots of points of view. I'm a very opinionated guy. But I can get my feeling across by structuring the music to speak for me. Right. And the same thing with concerts. And so over the 17 years, I think I've been able to keep this show going because I've basically not angered too many people in the community. You know, I haven't, created too many situations where I've had to, say, "Oh, I apologize for something I've said." I've kept it really pretty clean, I think.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So folk songs in general really start with protest songs from the beginning.
Social consciousness, has always been part of folk music going back hundreds of years.
Exactly.
It's whatever is going around, it's a way to express it. It doesn't have to be even protesting it. It has to be bringing attention, shining a light on things that are going on, positive and negative. Mm-hmm. Bringing up the things that are incredible, that we all can unite behind, and also pointing out the misjustices that occur. Right. It's always been part of folk music.
Is there a folk music of today?
There is.
Really?
Yeah. What I've noticed is that a lot of what we consider like the traditional folk music, the kind of folk renaissance that happened in the 60s, Peter, Paul, and Mary, the Limelighters, those guys, they've kind of moved on. But what's happened, and it's kind of fascinating, is that a lot of young musicians coming up, guys who maybe 10 years ago would have been in punk bands, would have been playing trash guitar and been playing garage and playing loud. Now have discovered wood. They've discovered acoustic instruments. They've discovered banjos and mandolins and guitars. And they've realized that through that kind of music, they could really talk about what they feel because it's quieter.
They can actually hear you.
You can actually get a message across. And what you're finding, and I get, because I do a concert series, I get inquiries, 10 a week by these are young 20-year-olds, bands who are doing Americana and roots music, and have and it's not the traditional Peter, Paul, and Mary sound. It's very more raw, it's kind of like if you took kind of metal, but took electric out of it and had it just on wood and on banjos and on mandolins.
Yeah, I'm
but it's
wondering
still
about banjos being a protest item.
Amazingly, it is. There's some really good, in fact, Bella Fleck is a good example of a banjo player who really does a lot with that instrument. And it's amazing that young people, these young 20-year-old groups, have really discovered the acoustic sound. And there's some really good groups performing and touring now who are very young. Rising Appalachia is one that I would recommend people check out and Google and hear their music. You know, again, talking about protests and talking about bringing social change and singing songs that are relevant to today. They're a good one.
So on your radio show, do you just play music, or do you have people perform music live?
You know, when we started out 17 years ago, and it was a 2-hour live show we did on Saturday nights. And started off on Cortez Street next to the Thai restaurant where Zine Magazine used to be in there. That's where we had our studio. And then we moved to the Compass Bank building, the second floor. We have a studio there. And we did do a 2-hour live show, and we bring in musicians and we have them play. But about 6 years ago or so, the whole format switched, and we closed down the studios. And as you can see in this room, all the equipment has gotten really little.
Yeah.
It's gotten really tiny. So now I do my radio show in my house, you know, in my room, and upload it to the station.
Wow.
And so I don't really bring live people in because I'd have to clean my house.
Right.
But I do phone interviews. I do
Right.
a lot of phone interviews now because the quality of the phone used to be you do a phone interview and it sounded horrible.
Oh, yeah.
But now you could do phone interviews and it sounds decent. You know, so I do a lot of those.
Oh, great. So can you talk a little bit about the event on the 23rd of February?
Yeah, we're celebrating the 17 years we've been doing this, and I'm ending a certain kind of aspect of the Folk Sessions concert series. Is kind of ending now, and this is in the sense, the last concert of a former model. And we're still going to be doing live concerts. We're going to be switching off a bit. So this is going to be one of these shows, and I've done them for a lot of years, where I just invite a lot of my personal favorite musicians, people that I've just enjoyed getting to know and playing with and hanging with, and who I think audiences will really relate to. And my favorite duo in Arizona is a group called JC and Laney, and they're from Phoenix. And in 2017, they were the Grammy Amplifier finalists, and that's for up-and-coming groups.
Right.
They were finalists. They are so good, and she is my favorite Arizona vocalist. I love hearing Laney sing. So they're going to headline, and Laney in December got in a very, very bad car accident. Oof. And so she had, in fact, on Valentine's Day, they did their first show since then. In 4 months, her first show. And so this is basically her coming out party.
Perfect.
And so JC and Laney performed, and one of the finest musicians in Arizona is Eric Ramsey, the blues man, and he's going to play with another brother named Robbie Robertson, who's another Phoenix musician. And when they get together as a duo, they deconstruct music. So they'll play Dylan songs, and they'll tear them apart and deconstruct them with incredible musicianship. And so they're going to play, and my wife and I are going to play, and our darling friend Meg Borman.
Right.
And we're just going to celebrate 17 years of doing this. We're going to have tables set up. We have a very 5-item auction. And, and it's just going to be, we're going to have some food and wine, and just a way to thank people for letting us do this for 17 years.
So when you say you're going to change the format, you're going to stop doing so much live performance?
No,
or
I've been doing a thing because as a musician too, I really enjoy, when I do shows, I like inviting lots of people to be part of it. So I've put on over the years a lot of shows that have lots of musicians. Because it's part of the thing, I just think I love. But what I've seen happen in this town is there's so many events happening now. There's so many concerts happening. There's so many shows. Every night you have such a wide choice of what to do.
Oh, yeah.
Would you say that in the last, say, 2 years, would you say at least 20% more events happen just in 2 years?
Oh, yes. Most definitely, especially music. There's lots more concerts and places to go hear them. A lot more of the venues like bars and restaurants
Yes.
are having music.
And I think that's part of my almost a legacy of the folk session success. If we've created this as being a really good place for the musicians to come to, and they get audiences.
Right.
And so what I'm going to do is, I'm getting a little older, I'm getting a little tighter, getting tired of selling tickets.
Yes.
So I'm only going to do shows with some of these artists who come through that I know people that like Tom Chapin's, that I just say Tom Chapin's coming and people might. I'm going to create less of these kind of festival theme shows.
Right.
So just kind of but I'm going to be bringing in some more higher quality artists.
Or more well-known
Yes.
sort of artists.
Yes.
So going back to your thing on the 23rd, it's going to be upstairs in the Crystal Hall at the Elks, right?
Boy, what a lovely room.
It is a very nice room,
It's
but
a
it's
lovely
small.
room. It's small. It seats about, if you're going to do seats, you can fit about 110 people. If you do tables, about 80. You know, because you want people to be comfortable. That's the part of the joy of doing things is the intimacy. So you can't create an intimate venue and then cram everybody. You can, this defeats the
can, but
purpose.
it's
You can, but yeah. So you want to kind of create it so people have, can stretch out and enjoy themselves. And and so, so it's going to be in the afternoon at 3 o'clock. It's going to go from 3 to 6. There's going to be a little bit of light food, light Italian. I'm an Italiano. Some little Italian apps and some wine. And I can offer a thing to people who listen if you want to come, that if you go to our website, folksessions.com, you can buy tickets, put in a promo code of FOLK, F-O-L-K, and you can get $10 off your ticket.
So that's great. That's a really nice discount.
Yeah, we've had some of our sponsors have come through and supported this concert. We've done it, like I said, we've had a little 5-item auction, and one of the items has already been sold for like 10 times the asking price. So we can do this.
Exactly.
We can make it a real celebration.
Unlike other concerts, this is actually on a Sunday. So it's a Sunday afternoon, sort of like a high tea almost.
Yeah,
with music.
The other thing I find in Prescott too is especially because we have a very active retirement community.
Yeah.
And a lot of the folks that I've come to know do not like to go out downtown Prescott on weekend nights.
Right. Like
One,
Saturday
parking
night.
is really difficult.
Yes.
2, people are drinking and drivers a little, and people who have been residents here for a lot of years, they tend to avoid downtown on a weekend night. And I have found more and more people say to me, why don't you do shows on Sundays? Because Sundays isn't nice. And they like matinees because they're making them. So we're going to try it. I don't normally do Sunday afternoon shows. We did Maria Mulder.
Right.
Was a Sunday afternoon.
I remember that. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of interesting things out there. I highly recommend people go to the website, which is folksessions.com, and take a look, because you'll get to see a lot of the different things that Tom and the group have been doing. Is there anything else you want to add to this?
Well, just for the Sunday thing, we actually have the auction items on the auction page, and you can actually bid right now. You can go on to our website and bid for one of our 5 auction items right now. You don't have to be at the event to bid.
Okay.
And one of the things that we are auctioning off, I think is a really nice thing, is, the Highland Center is an incredibly beautiful place to be. And they've opened up the Discovery Gardens there, which is just, just gorgeous. And part of the Discovery Gardens is a Ramada. And the Ramada is a, closed, beautiful place to have wedding receptions and corporate retreats, but we also have a great place to have music. So we are offering that you could come with a group of up to 30 of your peeps and have the Discovery Garden for an afternoon, we will supply you wonderful music to have your own private reception in the Discovery Gardens. And that's one of the items we are auctioning off.
Oh, wow.
And we did it last year. We auctioned it off, and a group from Las Fuentes did it. And we did this beautiful concert for them. And they had such a good time. They've already bought one of our packages for that this year.
Oh, great.
But we have another one too.
Okay, great.
And the other thing I say, our radio show, it's been 17 years we've been broadcasting. It's on I go KGS too, but it's Prescott Public Radio, and it's 89.5 on your dial FM. And my show's on weekends, Saturdays at 2:30 and Sundays at 1:30. And also, what I like to do, because my radio show is only a half an hour, and you can't do anything in half an hour. So what I do is then I take my radio show and then I add content to it to make it an hour, and then I podcast it on my SoundCloud channel. So if you go to soundcloud.com and put in Folk Sessions, I have a whole channel there where you can hear all my old shows. Mm-hmm. I also have a series I do, it's called Musicians of Note. Get it?
Mm-hmm. Of Note, yeah.
Well, I've done interviews with people like Tom Chapin and Grammy winners and legendary like Gremlin Jack.
Yeah.
And so you can follow us on there and have promos and all sorts of good stuff. And come to one of our shows. We do lots of concerts.
Yeah, I was lucky enough with the publisher of E! News to go to the Tom Chapin show. And I have got some great photos that you've got to see of Tom basically holding his auto harp like he's making love to it.
Wasn't that a nice show?
Wonderful.
That show is so good. I've already booked him. Next year, he's coming January 29, 2012, 2021.
Yeah. So that's something else. Also, you have a Facebook page, right?
Yes, Folk Sessions. You go to our Facebook page. We put lots of videos on there. And I believe, because the music we bring to town, you can't hear it on the radio. There's no channels except mine that you can listen to it. And I like people I don't want them to come and to something and they go, wow, this isn't my kind of music. So I always put on videos of the acts we bring so you can see them first and know, you spend $20, $30 for a ticket, you want to have a nice time.
Right.
So I want to make sure you come to and you hear the music that you're going to want to hear.
And are you planning to video the 23rd's performance?
No, I don't
I don't like doing that.
I don't video. They never come out very good. They don't, unless you're spending $1,000 and have 18 million cameras and everything.
We can make it look good.
It's hard to video live music
and have it sound proper.
Yeah,
right. All right, well, I will be there on the 23rd, and I will be taking photographs, so we'll have an article and a review on it. So I think that's all we have to say today.
Yeah, and thank you. Thanks for Prescott E-News.
Not a problem.
Really.
This is Prescott Talk with Anita Cohen, editor of Dining Out Entertainment, saying goodbye. Cut.